Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Beyond Projects, Operationalizing Strategic Transformation for Lasting Process Excellence. I'm Dr. Rhonda Farrell, and I welcome you to the ASQ Synergy for Success Conference, Driving Excellence Across Industries. I'm thrilled to join you today for this conference, and today we're diving into a topic that I believe sits at the heart of organizational growth and excellence, moving beyond isolated projects to operationalize strategic transformation for lasting impact. So let's get started, and let's get real for a moment. How many of you have championed or participated in an improvement project that achieved early wins only to watch the momentum fizzle out? Maybe the results faded, the team disbanded, or the focus shifted to the next shiny object. Sound familiar? Well, you are not alone. It's a pattern that we see far too often. And it's not because people don't care or the tools don't work. It's because we haven't embedded transformation into the very DNA of how we operate, how we lead, and how we think. That's what today's session is all about. And we're here to answer the questions. How do we move from project-based progress to flywheel-powered excellence? How do we evolve from quality as an event to quality as a culture? Over the next few minutes, we're going to explore a framework for strategic transformation that moves quality beyond departments and into enterprise-wide practice. Real-world success stories from different sectors that have made the leap, and practical steps that you can take, no matter your industry, to embed systems thinking, strategic alignment, and continuous improvement into your organizations. Don't worry, this won't be theoretical, as my background spans enterprise, defense, cybersecurity, and innovation strategy. I've worked with high-performing teams and mission-critical environments, so I'll be sharing what works in actual practice. So get ready to rethink what transformation means for you and to discover how you can lead it not just once, but for the long haul. Are you ready? We're going to move fast, so please buckle up. So the problem with project thinking is it's the elephant in the room. Too often, continuous improvement efforts live in isolated pockets. We run a successful Python event here, implement a Lean Six Sigma project there, launch a digital pilot program in one department. These are well-intentioned, sometimes even well-executed. And yes, they may bring temporary wins, but here's the catch. They rarely scale and they rarely stick. Why? Because project thinking is inherently transactional. It's bounded by scope, budget, timelines, and often confined to one team or function. When the project ends, so does the momentum. We confuse motion with project progress and outputs with outcomes. We've all seen it happen. A process mapping that ends in a binder in the show. A pilot that improves KPIs in one business unit but never reaches the others. An innovation sprint that solves a pain point but leaves no lasting capability behind. Here's the root problem. We mistake activity for transformation. Projects deliver deliverable. Transformation refers to behavioral and systemic change. The challenge isn't that for doing projects, they are extremely valuable. It's that we stop at the project. We need to evolve from what I call project mode to enterprise mode. From siloed interventions to interconnected systems that reinforce excellence at every level. From scattered successes to strategic alignment. From compliance-driven outputs to value-driven outcomes. Lasting transformation is not an event, it's an enterprise commitment. And if we want process excellence to survive leadership changes, market shifts or crises, then we must make it part of the organization's identity, not just add to it to-do list. So let me ask you this. How many of your efforts would continue if the project lead left tomorrow? If the answer makes you uncomfortable, then you're in the right session. Because today you're going to explore how to shift from short-term sprints to building an organization that runs with endurance, powered by strategy, culture, and leadership. Because the magic happens when shift happens. And the shift begins with mindset. And that mindset must evolve from projects with an end date to platforms with no finish line. So let's unpack this. Most organizations treat transformation as a sequence of time-boxed initiatives. A Six Sigma here, a Kaizen event there, or a tech pilot somewhere else. Each delivers a temporary gain, but often lacks the scaffolding to become repeatable, sustainable, or scalable. This is where the concept of transformation as a platform comes in. A platform isn't just a tool or a team, it's a way of operating. It embeds quality and agility into the DNA of how your organization plans, prioritizes, and performs every day. This mindset reframes transformation as your organizational operating system, not an extracurricular activity. It shifts from who owns this project to how do we all own this process. From let's complete this phase to let's build the capability to adapt at scale. From isolated pockets of improvement to enterprise-wide excellence, powered by shared standards, data fluency, digital entitlement, and empowered teams. A platform view means you're not starting from scratch every time. You're building institutional memory, reinforcing habits, and aligning people, process, and tech under a common language of improvement. So let's look at companies like Amazon. Operational excellence is not a department. It's a platform that's built into their daily mechanisms, from 2 pizza team reviews to real-time KPIs. Everyone knows the playbook and contributes to refining it. The result, transformation becomes cumulative, exponential, and cultural, not just a string of temporary wins. Let's be honest. If you're relying on heroic project teams to save the day every 6 months, you haven't built a platform. You've built a treadmill. So the big question is, what's powering your organization's operating systems? Projects or platforms? So let's dive into a concept that's changed how I and many world-class organizations think about transformation. The flywheel, originally popularized by Jim Collins in his book, Good to Great, the flywheel is a metaphor for momentum-driven success. Imagine a massive, heavy wheel mounted horizontally on an axle. At first, it takes immense effort to pushing and straining to make progress inch by slow inch. But then, as it begins to turn, each push builds on the previous one. Eventually, it's spinning with such momentum that it feels almost unstoppable. So you might be asking at this stage, what does this have to do with process excellence? Well, in organizations, your flywheel is built from a set of reinforcing activities done with consistency and clarity. When strategy, people, process, technology, and culture are aligned and repeating with discipline, they create a self-reinforcing system. And here's the magic. Once that flywheel is spinning, every improvement, every insight, and every new habit simply amplifies your overall performance. in transformation looks like this. Your strategy sets a clear direction. Your people are aligned and accountable. Your processes are lean, repeatable, and value-driven. Your culture rewards learning, collaboration, and performance. Your technology enables, not disables, innovation. This approach shifts you from dependency on one-time heroic efforts to building systemic momentum. You no longer need a new project to spark improvement. Your organization becomes an engine of ongoing transformation. An example of this is Microsoft under Satya Nadella. By aligning culture, growth mindset, strategy, cloud first, and capability, platform as a service, they transformed from stagnation to a $2.5 trillion company, all by spinning a new flywheel of innovation and empowerment. In smaller businesses, the flywheel might look like daily huddles, shared metrics, customer feedback, and iterative improvement. It's ultimately not about the size of the movement, it's about the rhythm. The point is, transformation is not a sprint. It's not even a marathon. It's a flywheel. You don't have to push it harder. Push it more consistently until excellence becomes inevitable. So let's move beyond buzzwords and break down what it takes to operationalize transformation. Here is a 5-part framework I use with organizations ready to embed excellence as a way of operating, not just a short-term fix. This framework is built on real-world experience driving enterprise-wide change across sectors. That quality and innovation are not isolated events, but systemic, sustained drivers of performance. So phase 1 is the vision. Define the destination. Transformation starts with a clear vision, a shared understanding of what success looks like and why it matters. This vision should be ambitious yet achievable. Energize and unify teams. Serve as a consistent point of alignment in times of complexity or disruption. Organizations with well-communicated visions are 2.4 times more likely to outperform their peers, according to McKinsey. Phase 2, strategy. Connect the dots. A strong vision must be backed by a practical strategy. This is where planning meets intention, defining how people, processes, and technologies will be orchestrated for meaningful outcomes. Strategy addresses where to focus resources, how to sequence efforts for maximum impact, what to stop doing to avoid initiative fatigue. Good strategy creates clarity. It enables cross-functional alignment and accelerates decision-making. Phase 3, execution. Deliver consistently. Execution is where many transformations stall. Ideas are easy. Implementation is the differentiator. Successful execution requires ownership and accountability, defined milestones and deliverables, and transparent progress tracking and adaptive feedback. Organizations that master execution deliver 3.5 times higher returns on their strategic investments. Phase 4, measurement. Track what matters. Without data, transformation is just guesswork. Effective measurement systems track not only performance metrics, but also behavioral and cultural shifts. This means defining leading and lagging indicators, measuring outcomes, not just activities, and creating real-time visibility to support informed decisions. Measurement fuels learning. It transforms change from static to dynamic. And lastly, phase 5, momentum, building to scale. Sustaining transformation requires momentum. This isn't about constant hustle. It's about creating systems that reinforce new ways of working. Momentum comes from embedding new practices into daily operations, recognizing and rewarding aligned behaviors, building institutional muscle around change. Momentum turns a successful initiative into a scalable operating model. Final thoughts. This framework isn't linear. It's cyclical, adaptive, and built for real organizations. It helps you move from project thinking to systems thinking, from isolated wins to enduring value. So we'll go now into our first case study, and that's one of healthcare. One of the most compelling applications came from a mid-sized regional health system in the US, emerging from the intense pressure of the COVID-19 pandemic. Like many others, they were struggling with overwhelmed workloads, burned out staff, and a patient experience that had sharply deteriorated. They knew one-off fixes wouldn't cut it. They needed a system-wide shift. That's when they adopted a strategic transformation model grounded in the 5 principles we just covered. The challenge for them was disjointed care coordination across departments, long patient wait times and bottlenecks in discharge planning, low morale, staff disengagement post-crisis, and declining patient satisfaction scores across multiple facilities. The approach was to use the strategic transformation framework, and they took the following steps. Vision. They re-articulated their purpose around delivering compassionate, coordinated, and timely care at every touch point. Strategy. They created cross-functional care teams, physicians, nurses, case managers, IT, and facilities to co-design solutions aligned with patient journey. Execution. They rolled out daily huddle routines to identify bottlenecks and empower unit-level decision-making. Measurement. They deployed new analytics and dashboard to monitor real-time patient flow and experience metrics. And lastly, in the momentum area, they trained in improvement coaches to support frontline teams and built peer recognition into performance reviews. And their results: reduced patient throughput time by 27%, increased patient satisfaction scores by 38%, and improved employee engagement, staff reporting higher trust in leadership and clarity around priorities. So this initiative is part of a broader research study published by the National Institutes of Health. Why does this matter? Because this wasn't about tools or projects. It was ultimately about cultural alignment, clear priorities, and sustained effort. And it's a very powerful example of what's possible when we stop chasing fixes and start building systems. So in our next case study, let's look at how a global manufacturing firm turned complexity into clarity and delivered measurable results. A leading electronics manufacturer with operations across North America, Asia, and Europe was facing a significant supply chain shortage and volatility, production delays, and increasing maintenance costs on aging equipment. Despite previous Lean Six Sigma efforts, they struggled to sustain gains across distributed facilities. The leadership team recognized that what they needed wasn't another round of process improvement projects. It was a shift in how their organization thought, operated, and made decisions. They committed to a strategic transformation approach rooted in enterprise-wide alignment. Fragmented visibility across supply chain partners was just one of the challenges they faced, along with frequent production line stoppages due to unexpected equipment failures, rising operational costs due to inefficiencies and downtime, disconnected improvement efforts without central accountability. The strategic transformation approach they took was to in their vision area, define a global goal to become a data-driven, resilient, and responsive manufacturing network. In the strategy area, they map their current versus future state across operations, maintenance, logistics, and procurement. Then unified teams on KPIs that supported the end-to-end supply chain. Execution, adopted AI-enabled predictive maintenance systems, digitized supply chain workflows, and retrained frontline managers to drive local continuous improvement efforts. In the measurement area, they use real-time dashboards to track equipment performance, supplier responsiveness, and yield metrics, shifting from reactive to proactive decisions. And in the momentum area, they establish a center of excellence to standardize processes, mentor teams, and scale what works. What did this result in? Over 10 million in cost savings over 18 months, a 25% reduction in unplanned downtime through AI-powered predictive maintenance, improved supplier reliability and delivery timelines across global regions, and they upskilled over 300 managers and engineers in data-driven decision-making. You want to learn more? This initiative is highlighted in McKinsey & Company's Insight series on smart manufacturing. Why does this matter? Because it's not about flashy tech. It was about connecting strategy with execution, then building the capability to adapt and grow. With the right framework, they turn data into decisions and decisions into results. You can find more at McKinsey, capabilities, operations, our insights, these smart factors. So our last case study looks at a public sector agency. Today, the U.S. federal government stands at the threshold of transformative change, and it's being driven by two powerful forces, AI and human-centered design. These aren't just buzzwords, they're reshaping how agencies serve citizens and empower their workforces. By adopting AI co-pilots and integrated digital platforms, we're seeing agencies eliminate thousands of hours of manual effort. Imagine a policy analyst no longer spending hours compiling reports. Instead, AI delivers insights in real time, freeing them to focus on strategic outcomes that matter. But let's be clear, technology alone doesn't solve problems. It's when we design services around the people who use them, whether it's a SNAP recipient or a VA caseworker, that we create systems that are inclusive, intuitive, and impactful. Integrated platforms ultimately allow for seamless workflows, better security, and cross-agency data share. When agencies operate on shared infrastructure, innovation becomes scalable, decision-making becomes smarter, and service delivery becomes faster and fairer. The future of government isn't just about tech, it's about strategic alignment. When modernization aligns with mission, when platforms replace silos, and when every worker and citizen feels the benefit, that's when transformation becomes sustainable. So we need to reimagine public service with AI-driven platforms, AI tools, plus unified digital ecosystems, streamline workflows, and improve mission execution. We need to shift from manual tasks to strategic high-value work. In the human-centered design for better citizen experience area, we need to make sure that services are built around user needs, not bureaucratic systems, and unified platforms for programs like WIC, SNAP, and Medicaid that improve access and equity. An empowered workforce through AI and automation areas, AI co-pilots reduce administration burden and act as policy assistants. Upskilling ensures safe and effective AI, fostering trust and learning. In the integrated platforms area, we need to think about security, scale, and service. By consolidating identity, security, and app management reduces fragmentation and risk. And low-code, no-code, and cloud-native environments boost modernization agility. In our collaboration and data sharing area, this ultimately drives innovation. Interoperability across agencies accelerates decisions and prevents duplication. Sharing data enables faster, more responsive public services. And in the strategic modernization area, we're looking at sustainability, scalability, and mission alignment. We want to align our IT transformation efforts with our mission goals. We want to optimize cost, reduce silos, and improve agility with smart platform selection. Our key takeaway here is transformation is possible, even in complex, regulated environments. By aligning our people, simplifying our systems, and building transparent performance cultures, government agencies can improve both internal efficiencies and public trust. To find out more about this effort at veritalk.com, enhancing U.S. government operations with AI and human-centered design. So I now moved on to what tools we use for transformation, because ultimately it's only as strong as the systems and tools that reinforce our transformation efforts day to day. Success doesn't come from inspiration alone. It comes from integrating the right tools into how we work, decide, and lead. Here are 4 foundational tools I recommend, not as a one-time fix, but as daily disciplines that embed continuous improvement across your organization. Number 1, strategy deployment, Cochin Conry. Cochin Conry is a method for aligning an organization's strategic objectives with its daily operations. This tool ensures everyone from frontline employees to executive leadership can see how their work contributes to big picture goals. It creates a shared language for execution, accountability, and agility at scale. Why it matters, because without alignment, even great ideas fizzle. Cochin Conry helps strategies survive first contact with reality. Excuse me for a moment. Process mining and modeling area. Process mining really looks for using real-time data to visualize how we work and how data actually flows across the systems, not how we think it flows. When paired with modeling, teams can simulate improvements and proactively identify friction points. Why it matters? Because you can't improve what you can't see. Process mining removes guesswork and illuminates the path to higher efficiencies and quality. Well, in our daily management area, these are structured routines like morning huddles, tiered dashboards, and visual routines, visual controls that keep teams focused, accountable, and continuously improving. They create a rhythm for operational excellence. Why it matters is because excellence isn't a destination, it's a habit. These systems build that habit into your culture. And then last but not least is our Agile OKRs, objectives and key results. Agile OKRs combine the strategic focus of traditional goal setting with the flexibility of agile thinking. They help teams stay focused on outcomes that matter without being rigid in how they get there. Why it matters. In fast-changing environments, adaptability is the new advantage. Agile OKRs drive that adaptability with clarity and focus. Bottom line is these tools aren't just frameworks. They are rituals of a high performance and excellence. And when used together, they don't just help you manage change. They create a self-reinforcing system where transformation becomes the new normal. Let's stop treating excellence like an event and start treating it like the system it's meant to be. So let's look at really what matters, and that's leadership. We've all heard the saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast, but who sets the table for culture? Ultimately, it's our leadership. If you want to operationalize transformation across your organization, the first step isn't a new tool or system, it's a shift in leadership mindset and behavior. Leaders shape culture daily. Culture isn't posters on the wall or values written in the handbook. It's how leaders ultimately behave when no one's watching. It's what gets rewarded, what gets ignored, and how decisions are made. If transformation is the engine, culture is the fuel, and leadership ultimately lights the spark. So what are these 3 traits of transformational leaders? To build a resilient, high-performing organization, leaders must model curiosity. You can see that you need to ask more questions than you give answers. You need to seek insight from the front lines. You need to stay open to new ways of thinking. You need to have and model courage, make bold decisions with much ambiguity, always challenge the status quo, and say yes to learning, even when it might be uncomfortable for you, your team, and your organization. And lastly, commitment. We want you to show up consistently, invest in your people, be relentless in the pursuit of being better while recognizing that it's a long-term journey and not a short-term sprint. These are ultimately practices that can and must be cultivated. So we ask that you invest in capability, not just compliance. Too often, organizations treat transformation like a checkbox exercise. Train the team, check the box. Deploy a tool, check the box. But what actually sustains change is capability building. Developing the problem-solving capabilities, communications, and systems thinking skills that leaders need at every level. High-performing organizations aren't led by heroes. They're led by coaches who develop other leaders. So let's stay close to the front lines. Transformation doesn't happen in the boardroom. It happens at the edges, on the factory floors, in customer conversations, and daily huddles. Great leaders go to the source, our friend the Gembo one. They listen, they learn, they lead with humility and action. Bottom line, you don't need perfect systems. You need leaders willing to model the change, invest in people, and create environments where transformation takes root. Because in the end, your strategy is only as strong as the leaders bringing it to life. Are you modeling the culture you want to scale? So let's take a quick assessment. I want you to just pause for a moment and think about your own organization and your own journey. Where are you now? It's a brief but powerful self-assessment that can ground the conversation in your current reality. I invite you to reflect honestly as we walk through these next 3 essential questions. Think of these as a mirror, not to judge, but to help you clarify the path forward. So question 1, are your improvement efforts aligned to strategic goals? Too often, organizations run multiple improvement initiatives that aren't connected with their big picture. They're fixing pain points, but not building capability or advancing mission-critical outcomes. If your team is working hard but not moving the needle on your key strategic priorities, that's a sign you're solving in the weeds, not steering at the level of enterprise. So you can ask yourself, can I draw a straight line between this improvement project and our 3-year vision? Question 2, are we measuring transformation or just activity? There's a big difference between checking boxes and creating long-term sustainable change. Just because you held 5 Kaizen events or delivered a new dashboard doesn't mean transformation actually happened. What are you really measuring? Is it outputs or outcomes? Busyness or business impact? Are we tracking lagging indicators like cost savings only, or leading indicators like capability development and employee engagement? Question 3, is quality a department or a mindset? Here's the truth. If quality lives only in a department, you've already limited its impact. True transformation happens when quality becomes a shared mindset, a way of seeing, thinking, solving across every function and level of the organization, from HR to finance, operations to IT. How often do frontline staff use quality tools without needing permission? How empowered do people feel to improve their own work? So our reflection challenge today is to think about these questions, not just as a diagnostic, but as your true transformation opportunity. If you are aligned already, keep building momentum. If you're not, this is your chance to course correct and lead from a place of clarity. Transformation starts when we're brave enough to get real about where we are and bold enough to build where we want to be. So now is the time for our call to action. I want to leave you with this thought. Your challenge is not to run another improvement project, but rather it's to build a system of excellence, one that endures, evolves, and empowers your people long after the whiteboards are erased and the dashboards are closed. Here's how we can start. We want you to start small, but think big. You don't need a massive rollout to spark transformation. You start with one team, one process, one change. But let that pilot be guided by a bigger strategic vision. Small wins build momentum. Big thinking builds systems. So let's build alignment before automation starts. Let's not throw tools at disconnected problems. First, let's align on our goals, values, and operating principles. Automation without alignment just accelerates chaos. Celebrates consistency over intensity. Lasting change isn't about bursts of brilliance. It's about showing up day in and day out, discipline and focus. Rituals beat resolution and habits beat fight. So let's move beyond projects. It's time to stop treating transformation like a one-time event and start treating it as a capability. Your organization grows over time. You don't need more initiatives. You need more integration. You don't need faster sprints necessarily. You probably need a stronger system. So here's my ask for you today. Take one insight from today and operationalize it. Embed it into your next leadership meeting, your next process review, or your next performance conversation. Invite your teams into the journey, not just as followers, as you as the leaders, but truly co-create the future with them. And build a flywheel of excellence that doesn't stop when the project ends, but gains forth with every cycle. So my final thought is that transformation doesn't just happen because of tools. It happens because of people who choose to lead differently. And we want that to be you. Thank you so much for joining me today in this very important topic and conversation. I hope that you're walking away with new ideas, renewed energy, and a strategic mindset to go beyond projects and embed lasting transformation. So let's open the conversation up. I'd love to hear what resonates with you, what you're grappling with, and how I can support you on your next step forward. Again, I'm Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the Success Strategist, CEO of Global Innovation Strategies, and I thank you so much for your time and attendance and being here. And I so hope we can move you into transformation action.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Farrell. Yeah, I can see a lot of appreciation for your presentation. And again, from vision to strategy to data collection to measurement and gaining momentum, you have given us a lot of food for thought for our companies to improve. I think I have a couple of comments that have been put in the chat. Not really questions, but Esther Munoz mentioned she has found Ocean Kinnery difficult to implement. Now, that is a strategic planning tool. Question for you is, how do you look at strategic planning and moving it to, that is long-term, and moving it to short-term goal planning?
Thank you, Tariq. I love that. So Ocean Connery is a journey that you take your team on. I would say start with the basics, right? We want to start with our basic building blocks. Let's go with SWOT. Let's go with pestle. Let's take them on the journey of what strategic planning is attempting to do, right? We're gaining clarity. We're trying to align our initiatives and our projects, and we're trying to embed project management targets and measurements so that we can understand what success looks like. So first, it's about awareness. Second, it's about engagement, getting them engaged in those exercises. And then third, start small and ultimately mature. SWOT, pestle, Hoshin, Conry, because Hoshin Conry is where you roll down the strategy to every unit. Sometimes it's hard for SWOT or pestle to be done at the organizational wide level. Typically, you have to do that at each strata. Hoshin Conry allows you to take what you're learning at each strata, bake it into your main strategy, and then roll it down for operationalization. It's in that co-creation or catchball activities that you're playing that's going to allow you to co-create and build buy-in to the change that you're creating. And ultimately, you're going to be briefing what you've learned, what you've heard back up, and you're going to be implementing it according to what your teams have stated they can actually do. Yes, you're probably going to go for more, but I think it has Hoshin Conry allows you to really take a strong pulse check, especially if you have a large decentralized organization.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. And again, so you have a couple more minutes. I'm going to ask one question. You mentioned objectives and key results. And essentially, what a lot of people are familiar with is the KPIs, the key performance indicators. So, if you could very briefly explain to the attendees what's the difference, and does OKR replace KPI or work along with it?
I love it. Thank you, Tariq. Yeah, so they go hand in hand. So think of KPIs as extremely quantitative. It's a point in time, and oftentimes they are a lagging indicator. OKR of your success. OKRs go hand in hand. So objectives are more closely aligned to your strategy. They can be qualitative in nature. They can be leading in nature, and they are paired with the KPIs to provide your key results. So your objective part, forward leaning, forward thinking, aligned to your strategy. Think of it as transformationally pushing your organization forward. Key results, you can make them equal to your KPIs. How are we going to measure whether we're on course, off course with this change initiative, with our larger objective? You need to be able to measure that quantitatively. And so we ask you to use, if you're in KPI land and you want to move to OKR land, we ask you to use AI or one of your agile coach buddies to help you make the transition, and you can utilize everything you've created to date and map and align. So it's a very structured change effort that won't chase off your leaders and your management and won't mean you have to do a lot of rework.
Perfect. Thank you so much again. Thanks for giving us such a great presentation. For all the rest of you, this information will be available on ShowCare site. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out, and we'll try to get these answered. Some of these topics, OKR and KPIs, hopefully we will offer some more detail. These are topics that could have a webinar by themselves. So hopefully we will have them at another point in time. Thank you all for coming to this presentation, and thank you, Dr. Farrell, for a great presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tariq. Thank you, John. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your ASQ Synergy for Success conference.
Thank you. Bye-bye.